In this episode, we're going to talk about love, Shanghai, debate motions, and yes, zongzi. Hey guys, Coach Mike here, and welcome back to the Ask Learning Leaders show. We are here with episode 15, coming at you live from Shanghai. Amazing, amazing stuff coming up right around the corner. Summer camps starting a week from today. I can't even believe it. So many good things happening. This past weekend though was a very special holiday here in China. Dragon Boat Festival. We even have some zongzi here. Some zongzi made by our very own Doris. Love you, Doris. Brought some zongzi. If I can figure out how to unwrap it. Maybe do we have a knife? Can I get a knife here? Some scissors. It's really good packaging. Really good I can't even open it. I don't even know what to do here. How do I? It's really hot. It's like I don't even know how to open this. It's really oily. It's like, okay, I'm getting there. Hang tight there, guys. Don't go away. All right, well maybe while I'm unwrapping this, because it's really quite it's like an enigma wrapped in a mystery, wrapped in a labyrinth. It's kind of like a Pandora's box of goodness. I'm just really excited here once I get this open. It's really hot though. But anyway, so Dragon Boat Festival, really, really good times. I want to challenge you, learning leaders, wherever you are, to ask a question related to Chufu. I believe Chufu is the teacher or the poet within the lore of the Dragon Boat holiday. And I challenge any and all of you to maybe submit even a quotation that we can use here on the Ask Learning Leaders show, directly related to his scholarship. Okay, we're making progress. So, fun fact about zongzi is that they take a really long time to unwrap, but as the main man behind the camera, Coach Patrick, once said, hunger is the best sauce. Now that is some wisdom, am I right, Pat?
Yo.
Yo. Okay, looks like we're making some moves here. Oh, look at this. We have a duck egg. We have some meat going on. This is glutinous, holy moly. Okay, this looks amazing. I'm gonna have to eat this right now. Oh, okay, well, without a further ado here, let's get into the show. Let's get to our first question. This is a disaster. Let's get into our first question from Henry. Okay.
My name is Henry and I'm from SAS Puxi. And my question is, why did learning leaders choose to reside in Shanghai?
A little hot. It's really hot. Henry. Guys, don't talk with your mouth full, okay? Don't talk with your mouth full. Okay. Henry, amazing question. Why did learning leaders choose to reside in Shanghai? Not only do I love the personification of learning leaders as a person choosing to reside somewhere, because usually companies or clubs or organizations would just choose to be somewhere. So good. Not only do I love the personification, but I also love the question. So why Shanghai? Henry, it's an awesome question. I think Shanghai represents a pretty unique place in the world today. It represents, of course, these quintessential, you know, the combination, the confluence of the East and the West, the old and the new, the developing and the developed. You have that vibe going on. I mean, anybody who's been to Shanghai and spent more than just a few days can tell you that, you know, just a 5-minute walk away from some of the world's tallest skyscrapers, some of the citizens of Shanghai live in abject poverty, right? You have just the next block over from some humongous skyscrapers in Lujia's way, you have other people who barely have running water in their homes. And so this sort of contradiction, this amazingly interesting and fascinating place that China, and then even more specifically Shanghai represents, to me is a great, it's a great microcosm for what the world of debate really is, right? The world of debate is a sense of contradictions. It's these ideas, these pushing and pulling forces, these opposite ends of the spectrum, the pluses and minuses, the X and the Ys. And so Shanghai to me just represents an amazingly cool, progressive and exciting developing environment in which to learn about the world. And I truly, firmly believe that it is the frontier of where social, economic, and political reform during my generation, during our lifetime, is going to happen. And there's no place that I'd rather be, both personally and professionally, to develop oneself. So, Henry, Shanghai, I think, is just an incredibly unique place. For those of you who grow up here, I'm not sure you really realize how lucky you are to be growing up in such a unique place in an incredibly unique time. And that, I think, just feeds the conversation around debate, around learning about development, and about this idea of constant change, this dynamic flux that we find ourselves in, both as people and in the environments we live. So, Henry, that's Shanghai. All right, on to the next question here.
Hi, my name is George. I go to Reading School, and I want to ask Learning Leaders, what's your favourite type of motion?
Okay. So George, great question. Thank you very much from the Reading School, asking us about our favorite type of motion. Well, for all those learning leaders out there, while I take a nice big bite of zongzi, I want you to think to yourself, what are the 3 major types of motions? Ready, steady, go. Thinking? It's really hot. All right, so for those of you out there, we're thinking we have 3 different types of motions: fact, policy, and value. You're right. So 3 major types of motions: fact-based, policy-based, value-based. So fact-based is whether you're agreeing something is or is not true, right? Let it be resolved that the most significant component to the Americans winning World War II was the charging of the beach of Normandy. In fact, something happened, it didn't, this is why or why not. Then you have a policy-based debate, or a policy motion, where you have a legislation ratifying a certain idea, or a group of people within a government deciding whether or not to do something. So let it be resolved that China should adopt a carbon tax. That was a classic one from this past season. That's a policy-based one because you're talking about governments and what they're doing. And then perhaps, in my mind, the most challenging, and the reason why these are my favorite, George, thank you, are value-based motions, which are saying which is better, one or the other, what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is just, what is unjust. So one of these resolutions might be, let it be resolved that it is never right to tell a lie. Now, while I certainly don't condone lying, it's a great debate because it allows you to think of the ethics and morality of your actions and of the values that we as humans place on certain actions. I also think that values debates are often the most contentious because they're the most intensely personal, they're the most visceral. When you talk about having a debate about spiritualism or religion or politics, often the policy debate that you have actually has a fundamental underlying value that needs to be discussed before you even get to the policy, right? So if we're talking about a conservative or a liberal mindset from a fiscal component, one of these values that underlines that debate is the idea of equality on the one hand, equality of outcome, equality of opportunity, and on the other hand, getting what you deserve, right? Working hard, the American dream, this sort of mentality. Those are 2 pretty fundamentally different values that I think underlie the policy debates that we encounter most often. So George, great question. When it comes to fact-based, policy-based, and value-based debates, I personally prefer value-based debates because I think they're the most engaging, they're the most intensely personal, and I think really they're kind of the foundation for some of the other debates that we have that are disguised as other debates like policy ones. So good question. Thanks for sending the question in all the way from the UK. So please keep them coming. All right, and our third question for today.
Hi, my name is Jonathan. I want to ask Learning Leaders a question. Do the coaches love us?
Yeah. Really sticky. Jonathan, the Learning Leaders coaches absolutely love you. And not in the way that I loved eating the zongzi. It was a temporary satisfaction, but just an earthly material delight. You know? That's far different for the love that we have for you guys here at Learning Leaders. We're always racking our brains for new and fun and engaging experiences for you guys. We're always trying to think of ways to make our courses, our learning experiences more fun, more engaging, and just more delightful and inspiring, and in the end more impactful for you. So Jonathan, absolutely, we love you guys. We think about you every day. We're always talking about ways we can improve the experience to allow for you guys to have an amazing time. So it's a very personal thing, you know, to be a coach, to be a mentor or a teacher or a role model, and you really have to respect and love the people that you work with in order to do that. And so Jonathan, excuse me, I think the answer is a resounding yes. It's a no-brainer. We love you. All right, so it's now time for the quotation of the day. And Mr. Trumpet Man, I'm gonna try to use these hands off.
Quotation of the day!
Thank you. There's nothing better than some good music when you're cleaning your hands, you know? Some nice brass, a good sound, a good narration there. Love it. So, as I'm sure many of you know, there was an untimely or an unfortunate passing this past week of one Mr. Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, who we actually just quoted a few weeks ago here on the show. And I want to give a special quotation in memory of Muhammad Ali, who's a great role model and inspiration of mine. And one of my favorite Muhammad Ali quotes goes like this: "It's not the mountains that you are prepared to climb that will wear you out, but it is the pebble in your shoe." I think coming from a man who at one point in his life was the most famous athlete in the world, perhaps even the most recognizable person in the world, this is a pretty remarkable statement, because what he's telling you, what Muhammad Ali is telling us, is that the challenges ahead of us, the big frustrations, the big projects, the big momentous occasions that rise up in front of us and loom above us and that cause us our own nightmares at night, or that cause us our own anxiety, or that allow us to work really hard to accomplish these goals, those aren't the things that are truly going to break you, but it's actually the small things that you take with you wherever you go. And keeping this quotation in mind, I've actually changed my life quite considerably since I really internalized this quotation. And I'll give you some examples. So just like a brief example would be that I used to really think that it was odd having an IE, right? Having someone who would come to my home and help clean my dishes or wash my clothes, I thought was a really bizarre idea. I never grew up with a maid. I never grew up with someone who took care of my home like that. That was preposterous. You know, my parents, bless their heart, did that, and you know, I had to bring my laundry down to the laundry room, and you know, we'd wash it and fold it and together as a family and talk about it and take it out of the washer, put it in the dryer and match the socks, and you know, all this type of thing, right? But that's one of those components of daily life that could be frustrating to some people, could be irritating to some people, but most importantly takes time away from the bigger things that you want to focus on. And so I would almost say that doing laundry or folding laundry or matching socks, I would consider a pebble in my shoe. It's one of those little things that really isn't that significant, that I just wish that I didn't necessarily have to do, right? And so since coming to Shanghai, even I think just 2 or 3 years ago was the first time when I decided to, you know, engage in IE to work with me or work in my apartment. It's amazing how much less stress exists around that sort of thing. And that's a very maybe silly micro example, but when it comes to the larger things in life, you have to take care of the basics first. You have to take care of what could potentially be that pebble in your shoe. And that's relationships with family, and that's your health, and that's your sleep, and this is your happiness and enjoyment of being around people that you love and you want to spend time with most. If those things aren't with you every single step of the way, it's gonna drag you down. It's gonna be that pebble in your shoe that prevents you from achieving that great height and climbing that mountain that you want to so badly summit. So take Ali's advice to heart. Find out what could be those pebbles in your shoe and do whatever you can to get it out of there. Right? The big challenges that you face will be tough already. So put yourself in the best possible position to actually accomplish your goals by getting rid of the stuff that doesn't really matter. Ali, legend. And on that note, we'll see you guys next week.